Good day, everyone. My name is Cecilia Adrian. I am from the Ministry of Health Malaysia. Today, I will be presenting my research about factors affecting successful big data analytics implementation in public sector of Malaysia. In my presentation, there are 8 outlines as shown in the slides. As an introduction, the advance of information in digital format has created vast opportunities, advantages, and potential value discovery to the organization. BDA implementation or big data analytics contributes to the long-term strategic planning to support business growth and value creations, which can enhance the organizational performance. As the applications of big data analytics has been successfully implemented across industrial organizations, public sector also seek the implementations of the big data to effectively improve the service delivery. This study defines BDA implementation as exploring hidden informations using specific analytical techniques for the benefits of decision making, which influenced by resources and capabilities. The problem statement: the successful rate by the government's organizations has been growing very slow. These implementations of big data actually is not merely technical issue, but is linked to the people and organizational resources issue. Big data implementation success has evolved, and the contributing factors are still under discussion. Prior studies were grouped with specific teams, did not measure the overall relationships between factors affecting the successful of BDA implementations. The current practical big data model have been largely based on the experienced income-based company. Hence, a specific BDA implementation models focusing on government organizations is essential to establish the solutions for this theoretical breach. The research objective includes the first one, the investigations of factors affecting successful BDA implementation in the Malaysian public sector. The second is to propose and evaluate a new approach of BDA implementation models for the Malaysian public sector. The last objective is to validate the implementation models using a prototype tools. The research methodologies for these studies is divided into 6 parts as shown in the slides. From the literature review, I have identified 4 related theoretical models in the big data studies, which are resource-based view theory, information system success model, technology, organizational environment framework or TOE, and grounded theory. In these studies, the big data implementation models was developed using 2 underpinning theories, which are resource-based view and IS success model. This study explored the effects of the organizationals, talents, and technology resources as factors affecting the success of big data analytics implementations, which include big data strategy, big resource commitment, analytics culture, top management support, analytics skills, managerial skills, data infrastructure, as well as information processing and information quality. Relate to the operational definitions for each factors, as mentioned before. The findings of these studies: from the actual studies, data was collected from the various departments and units with multi-role respondents who participated in the first and second phases of the Malaysian public sector big data analytic pilot studies. There were 195 questionnaires distributed, and 140 of them have been completed and analyzed. The respondents were from Klang Valley and Putrajaya, which are 55% female respondents and 45% male respondents. The big data respondents, their roles include IT staffs, data users, subject matter expert, data scientists, data managers, and other business roles. Meanwhile, for their experience in BDA implementations, 53% of them had last 3 years experience in BDA implementation, while 39% of big data practitioners had 3 to 6 years experience in BDA implementation. 8% of the respondents had more than 6% experience in BDA implementations. The findings of the assessments of the such structural models is shown in the diagram, which describe 8 out of 11 hypotheses are significant. The remaining 3 were not supported, which include H6, H2, and H7. Hypothesis 6 tested the relationship between analytic skills and BDA implementation. The finding might be due to the fact that the analytic skills of the big data team in the government agency are still at the infancy stage. Meanwhile, the result of the hypothesis 2 explain the relationship between resource commitment and the BDA implementations. These situations happen when the central agency has provided big data training infrastructures through outsourcings through the BDA pilot project. Therefore, no investments for resources from the agency. And the last hypothesis is H7. The result shows that the BDA implementations is insignificantly affected by managerial skills. Big data managers are not aware with the impact of managerial skills because the managers from the vendor sites are assisting them in the big data implementation projects. For the moderator analysis, the first diagram shows the direct link from analytics culture and BDA implementation was positive and significant. However, the interactions link between the analytics culture and the top management support towards the BDA implementations was negative but significant. The second diagram shows the moderation effects of top management support on the relationship between analytics culture and BDA implementations is stronger for low top management support as compared to high top management support towards the effective BDA implementation. This finding suggested that the top management support plays a crucial enabling role in aiding to increase the impact of analytic cultures and improving the organizational BDA implementations. The purpose of the prototype development is to evaluate and validate the structural model practically. Diagram number 1 shows the big data analytics implementations models. The prototype adopted the analytical hierarchical process or AHP method in the evaluation processes, which shown in diagram 2, implementation framework for the validations by expert. The validations was conducted by 2 big data experts from industry and 1 academic expert from public university. The outcome of expert reviews indicated that the usefulness of BDA implementation model for better decision making. The limitation of this research, the first one, multi-role respondent. Data based on a multi-role respondent, which the answer is from their own insight and interpretations, which some of them have less experience in big data implementation. The second limitation is the small samples. Data is collected from the central agency respondents. It's a small penetration rates against populations. The last one is the single source, which data is collected from the single source, which may extend potential bias in these studies. The importance of this research is the big data users able to know the prerequisite factors, since the implementations of BDA involves a high level of risk and investment to the organizations. And the BDA user also able to understand the strengths and shortcomings of BDA affecting models, which enhance the ability of the organizations to plan and develop the BDA strategy in the future. The research implications. Through these studies, it will provide insight and guidelines to management in maximizing the BDA value for the effective decision making. And also, by having the BDA implementation model, it can be used to prioritizing actions revealed the criticality, needs, and its worth in investment of time and money. The third research implication is to enable organizations to determine the lack of BDA resources. And the last one is to determine the possibility of improvements of the current practices to make it more effective for decision making and relevant to the organization's requirement. As a conclusion, this study proposes a big data analytic implementation models and examines the factor affecting the success of BDA implementation. By identifying the moderating effect, the current study provides deeper understanding of the interaction between analytics culture and top management supports towards the BDA implementation. Top management support plays a critical role in driving the success of BDA implementation. Lastly, this study has developed the prototype based on the factors from the research model, and finally validated the usability of the prototype in practice. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you.